Well, the Florida State game happened. It's over. We're moving on. Mostly. We got a few more thoughts to get to as we sit here on a Monday after the Pitt's loss to Florida State at Acrisure Stadium on Saturday. We'll talk about that game. And, of course, the start of Pitt basketball. It's tonight. The Panthers open the season at the Peterson Event Center this evening. So we've got a lot to discuss, recapping Pitt's loss to Florida State and getting you ready for the Pitt basketball season. All right here on the Morning Pitt on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. I didn't really realize it until I started talking there about how bad my voice sounds right now. Holy cow. I've had this like chest cold and cough going on for the last few days. I talked about it on the post-game show. I mentioned that I sounded pretty rough. I didn't realize how bad it sounded today. I guess, continuing to have that cough all weekend long and then, trying to coach 9-year-olds and 8-year-olds through Little League Baseball yesterday with a lot of yelling and all the yelling that comes with that and good yelling, stuff like run to the next base, that tends to take a bit of a toll, but we're here and we're here to talk a little Pitt sports on a Monday morning to get your week started. You know, all the things we ask you to do on the reg. We ask you to like this video, and we ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com is where we put all of our video content right here. youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. These daily morning Pitt videos, post-game press conferences, weekly press conferences, interviews, highlights, things like that. Our live show on Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Every week, me and Jim Hammett get together and talk a little Pitt sports with you, and we do it right here at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. And, of course, our post-game shows, which are some of the most entertaining video things we do all week, I think. Some of the more enjoyable ones, they happen right here at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. We go live after the game and talk about it. The Florida State game, we went live around 9 o'clock or so, talked for an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. And I think everybody kind of got all of their frustrations out. It was an opportunity to vent for a little while with a group of us sitting around together. And that's what we'll do again this weekend after the Syracuse game at Yankee Stadium. We will get together and talk Pitt sports right here pretty much as soon as the game ends for an hour or more. We'll drink, we'll talk, we'll complain, we'll yell. And that's win or lose. We'll do those things. But we'll do it all right here. youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com with the Panther-Lair post-game show right here on YouTube. So you don't want to miss any of that. Turn on your notifications and you'll get an alert sent to your phone whenever we go live. So don't want you to miss out on that. Of course, the website is Panther-Lair.com, Panther-Lair.com, Pittsburgh.rivals.com. It's the most comprehensive source of Pitt sports news on the internet, football, basketball, recruiting. You find it all at Panther-Lair.com and message boards to hang out with other Pitt fans all day, every day. Panther-Lair.com, Pittsburgh.rivals.com. And you might notice what I've got on right here, huh? Look at that. Look at Rock dribbling a basketball. Basketball season starts tonight. The 2023-24 basketball season is kicking off tonight, or tipping off, I guess. That's what they say in basketball, right? Is a tip-off at the Peterson Event Center. And as a result, I felt it was only right to sport this shirt. And you might be asking yourself, how can I get a sweet shirt that has Rock dribbling a basketball, a classic old school Rock dribbling a basketball, no script here, just classic look? Well, of course, it's at Home Field. HomeFieldApparel.com is the place to go to get some of the best Pitt stuff you're going to find. HomeFieldApparel.com has first of all, it's a high quality shirt. This is super soft. It's held its shape. It fits well. Wash it a bunch of times, and it's still, exactly how you want a t-shirt to be. And the logos are awesome. And the graphics and the markings are just great. Again, look at that. You want that, especially with basketball season starting, right? You want this shirt. Go over to HomeFieldApparel.com, and you will find this shirt and a lot of others that you're going to really like. And the best part, of course, is if you go to HomeFieldApparel.com, HomeFieldApparel.com, and you use the promo code LAIR23, LAIR23, you get 15% off your first order. So you get this sweet shirt. It's going to instantly become one of the best t-shirts and one of your favorite t-shirts in the drawer, and you get it for 15% off with the promo code LAIR23. So go over HomeFieldApparel.com and check that out. All right, enough preamble, enough ads, enough links and promos and all those different things that we do. Let's talk a little bit. Pitt, Florida State, I just can't help feeling like it was a missed opportunity. And and I talked a lot about this in the post-game show about how Pitt missed an opportunity because their offense couldn't score, and they had a chance. They had a chance against the number 4 team in the country, but because their offense was non-existent again, they were unable to capitalize. And there was a Florida State fan who came into the comments and was like, what is this dummy talking about? We have a top 15 defense. That's why your offense couldn't score. It's not like you wasted an opportunity. Stop, lay off the whiskey. Well, I'm not going to lay off the whiskey. It's my thing. It's like a bit now. I do it during the post-game shows. Maybe I'll start doing it to the live shows too, the Wednesday night live stream, just to do it more often for that Florida State fan. But here's the thing. Yeah, Florida State has a really good defense. There's no question. They are top 15 or whatever it is. But they also have a really good offense. An offense that entered the game, averaging like 41.5 points per game. And they were top 5 in the country. So they might have a top 15 defense, but they have a top 5 offense. And Pitt held that top 5 offense to 10 points in the first half. The Florida State fan pointed out, yeah, they were missing like their top 4 receivers. I mean, great. I'm not going to say that, Pitt's defense is better than Florida State's offense. What I'm going to say is that on Saturday, they had a chance. They held that offense to 10 points in the first half. They only gave up total 3 touchdowns to an offense that was averaging, or a team that was averaging 41.5 points per game. They gave up 24, nearly half, right? If you get that kind of performance, particularly in the first half, where they were able to step up and make big plays, force a fumble, turnover on downs, hold them to 1 touchdown in the first half, you've got to be able to capitalize. You've got to be able to take advantage. And Pitt wasn't able to do it. Pitt's offense, once again, wasn't able to do it. And I don't think that was because Florida State's just this great defense. I think they have a very good defense. I don't think there's any question about it. But Pitt's offense was just a mess again. And we talked about it after the game. They get a fumble on Florida State's first drive, and they come out and go run, pass. Where's the killer instinct in that? I know it's the very beginning of the game. You don't need to, you don't want to go crazy right off the bat, but maybe you do. Maybe you should get a little bit nuts. Because playing however you've played thus far hasn't exactly produced a lot. And I mean, there was bad luck in there. There was, the Konate Mumfield should have been touchdown. I mean, that's, it ends up as an 82-yard pass completion from the 18, but not a touchdown. And, convoluted and somewhat arcane explanation of the ruling, and I mostly get it. But that's a touchdown. And instead, Florida State gets the ball. They get the ball at their 20. Huge swing there. Huge swing. And probably an avoidable mistake. Konate Mumfield needed to hold on to the ball. He tried to stiff arm at the end of the run as he was getting inside the 5. It looked like that slowed him up just a little bit. He probably should have just held on to the ball for dear life and kept running. Worst case scenario, you're down at the 1. Best case scenario, you end up in the end zone anyway, even if that guy gets to you. Ventrell Cypress or whoever it was. But it's one play in a game full of plays that mostly didn't go Pitt's way. And it's largely because that offense just can't get it done. And they haven't gotten it done all season long. And Christian Bear hit some long passes, made some big completions. He ended up with a pretty ridiculous stat line of, should have had the stat sheet open, 15 of 35, so 20 incompletions, less than 15% or less than 50% completions for 244 yards. So, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 3 sacks. At one point, at halftime, he had thrown for 181 yards on 9 completions. So he was averaging 20 yards per completion in the first half, about 9 yards per attempt in the first half. But and we talked on Saturday that there are probably still questions to ask about whether Veer is the guy. And I don't think it's crazy to position these final 3 games and really, all whatever it is, 7 starts that Veer's made. It's not crazy to sort of position this as his audition for next season. And also a real indicator for the coaches of whether or not they need to aggressively pursue a quarterback in the transfer portal this offseason. And that'll be a question that I think we'll be discussing a lot this week and over the next 3 weeks based on how Veer plays. He's going to need to show some improvement over these next 3 games. Syracuse, Boston College, Duke, he can't come out of those games with 15 completions and 20 incompletions. He can't go 15 of 35 in those games. He needs to start being more efficient. He needs to start putting up better stat lines. He needs to start throwing better, throwing more touchdown passes. He's had what? 3 scoring drives, 3 touchdown drives in the last 3 games. Right? I think he had 3 or 4 against Louisville. And since then, he's had like 3. He had 2 against Wake Forest and 1 against Florida State. None against Notre Dame. Nate Yarnell had that drive. And it will be interesting to watch as we go through these next 3 games and see if Nate Yarnell gets some opportunities. Because as much as you need to find out about Christian Veer, you kind of need to know about Nate Yarnell too. You need to know what you have at quarterback, and so that you can make those decisions. And maybe they already made those decisions. Maybe they already know what they have or feel like they know what they have, and they've already decided whether they're going to pursue a quarterback in the portal or not. I would not close the door on the option, though. I would not close the door on the possibility and taking that path if I was a Pitt staff, because I think Veer has shown flashes. I think he makes some throws where you say, wow, that was a big time throw. He's got a big arm. Ball looks pretty coming out of his hand. It gets out of his hand quickly. He's good at getting rid of the ball quickly. I think that's helped with the sack numbers, although he got sacked 3 times against Florida State. He gets rid of the ball quickly, and that helps. But there's a lot that leaves you scratching your head. And you almost wonder if he just takes too many risks for Pat Narduzzi. And that's not to go down a path of talking about Narduzzi being too conservative or too risk averse or whatever it is, but he takes a lot of risks. Puts the ball in jeopardy quite a bit. And he's thrown, he threw an interception there. He had a few interceptions against Notre Dame. I mean, I think there have been a lot of interception-worthy throws that didn't always get picked off, but could have been, where it was sort of a risky throw to make. And sometimes you make those risky throws and it ends up paying off. You get a big play out of it because you took the chance. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it goes for 6, but it goes the other way for 6. And so Pat Narduzzi, the rest of the coaching staff, they're gonna have to decide whether or not Veer is the guy. And these next 3 games are gonna go a long way improving it. I think there's been improvement on defense. We'll talk about this a lot this week, I think. I think that unit is coming along. I mean, they still gave up 500 yards to Florida State, but only 24 points is not that bad. That's a solid performance. And only giving up 10 despite Florida State getting 300 yards in the first half, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good run, and I think we're seeing that group get better and better as the season progresses. It's not all steps forward, it's ups and downs, but I feel like there's a decent number of ups and some guys that you can look at and say, this guy's playing well. This guy's getting better. This guy's having a good game or a good stretch here. Even a guy like Brandon George, who I think might have had the best game of his Pitt career on Saturday. You're seeing those kinds of performances. And so I think things are getting better on defense, but they've got to find answers on offense. They just have to. So we'll see. We'll have a lot to talk about with the football team, of course, heading into Syracuse on Saturday. There's no question about that. That game in Yankee Stadium should be an interesting one. We'll be watching it here from the Panther-Lair studios. Then we'll have the post-game show afterward right here at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. All right, Pitt basketball tonight. North Carolina A&T, the season opener at the Peterson Event Center. That game tips off at 7 p.m. And I got to say, I think there's more hype and excitement and interest for this season than there has been in a long time. Maybe since Jeff Capel's first year, I think there was a decent amount of excitement for that, simply because he was not Kevin Stallings. But I think there's a little bit more substantial to this season's hype as you look forward to what Pitt's going to be this year and what a lot of us, I think, believe that Pitt can be this year. And most of that centers on Blake Hinson. Blake Hinson, I think, is going to, he should take a step forward from where he was last year, which is pretty impressive because he was really good last year. Where I think people are starting to get their expectations really up, where they get their hopes up and setting their expectations higher and higher is what we've seen and heard and been led to believe about the young guards so far, particularly Bub Carrington. And Bub Carrington in that exhibition game against UPJ last week, I mean, I've said it a few times, he looked awesome. I mean, he simply looked awesome. I mean, he looked like a guy who could run the point and facilitate, and make some plays there, but also then work off the ball and make plays there. Pull up jumpers, threes, drive, kick. I don't know if we saw him finish as much. I would have to rethink the UPJ game, but that's something we'll be watching for to see if he can finish around the hoop. We saw him drive and pull up for a jump shot. He certainly likes to facilitate. There's a lot to like in his game. And we'll see when the challenges get a little bit tougher defensively, what he's able to do against the other team's lead guard. But he probably won't pull the toughest defensive assignment on most nights. I mean, I would think guys like Ishmael Leggett would probably be on the top guard. If it's a bigger kind of two guard who's the main scorer for the other team, Zach Austin might get that defensive assignment. So it probably, I mean, I don't want to say probably, but I would think in a lot of cases it won't fall on Carrington to be the number one defender or the defender of the other team's number one weapon in most cases, unless he shows that he's up to it. If he shows that he's up to the task, then yeah, I mean, he could end up handling that as well. But there's a lot of excitement about what he can be, I think, this year as a freshman. And he looks like he's up to it. And we'll see as they play real competition. It's tough to judge based on the two games in Spain and then the game against UPJ. But even, what we heard about his work in the close scrimmage against Georgetown. Everything has just been positive reviews about Bub Carrington. I'm really interested to see when he gets into some trickier situations, how he responds, how he plays, and how he performs, and how it translates for the team. Because I think the pieces are there around him. I really do. I think Blake Hinson is going to be really, really good this year. Like I said, I'm really high on. I'm really bullish, I should say, on the triplets, the Diaz-Graham twins and Federico. I think those guys are all going to take a really big step forward this year and become weapons, different types of weapons, all three of them. I'm on record saying a lot of really nice things about Zach Austin. Now, I think he's one of the most intriguing players on this team and maybe the most interesting man in Pitt basketball right now. And I don't think the exhibition game against UPJ did anything to dispel that notion. I think Ishmael Leggett's development this year is going to be... I think Leggett is going to have some Nike Sabandi type games where he just goes off. He had 20 in the close scrimmage against Georgetown. I don't think that's going to be the regular for him, but I think he's going to have games where he goes off and you're like, this dude is out of control. He's going to drain threes and he's going to drive and finish, make plays. And so I like a lot of those pieces. Excuse me. And coming off the bench, I mean, you have the Diaz-Graham twins coming off the bench. If Federico continues to start, or flip it around, Guillermo could start and Federico comes off the bench. Either way, two of those three are going to be working off the bench. You've got Will Jeffers coming off the bench. And you've got Jalen Lowe coming off the bench, Michael Hewitt coming off the bench. You've got solid bench depth, but I really like those other starters. It's just a question of Carrington being able to carry it, so to speak. And they should have good enough players around him that he doesn't need to be the only guy, the main guy. He's not like the leading scorer, the top 3-point shooter is wearing number 2. He's the guy you're going to look to set up. You're going to look to get the ball down low to one of the big dudes with like a 7'3" wingspan. You're going to get the ball to Zach Austin, who can knock down a 3 or do a pump fake and drive and jump from the foul line and slam it home. You're going to look to get the ball to Ishmael Leggett, who's just a crafty scorer. You're going to look to facilitate. And then when, pick your spots on when it's time to sort of try and take over yourself. And maybe that's the biggest thing that Bub Carrington's going to have to learn this year is how to pick those spots of when to facilitate, when to kick, and when to actually go in and try and go for the kill yourself. Because probably in high school, he just went for the kill. It was easy enough. Smart guy, coach's kid. He should have a feel for these kinds of things. He should have an understanding of it, but I think it could take some time. And so that's maybe the biggest thing that he's going to have to learn, in addition to like defense and things like that. He's going to have to learn about making that call of like, all right, is this where I should do it? Is this where I should try to take over the game and be the guy? Or do I need to keep setting up Hinson, Leggett, Austin, the centers? And so that's going to be an ongoing process for him. But I think it's going to be really fun to watch. I think it's going to be fun to watch that process play out. We'll see. It starts tonight. Starts tonight against North Carolina A&T. We'll have a lot of season preview content on Panther-Lair.com today. Giving our picks for MVP and breakout player and toughest game and season prediction and all those things that we do. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff to read at Panther-Lair.com. So go check out the website, Panther-Lair.com, Pittsburgh.rivals.com. And then after you check that out and you read all the pick coverage, go over to HomeFieldApparel.com to check out the sweet pick gear. Get a shirt like this. You're not going to get it in time for the North Carolina A&T game tonight, but you can get it in time for, the trip to the Barclays Center or something like that. When is that? They play Florida on the 22nd. Yeah, you might get it there by then. Supply chain issues being what they are. We'll see. But you'll have it by the start of conference play. How about that? And remember, if it's your first order, you can use the promo code LAIR23 and get 15% off. So HomeFieldApparel.com. Promo code LAIR23. All right, like this video and subscribe. YouTube.com/Panther-Lair.com so you don't miss any of our Pitt video content. We're going to have a lot of it talking about Pitt football, talking about Pitt basketball, talking about Pitt recruiting, and everything else going on in the world of Pitt sports right here on YouTube.com/Panther-Lair.com. So thanks for watching today. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope your week gets off to a great start here on a Monday. And we will catch up with you tomorrow for the Morning Pitt right here on YouTube.com/Panther-Lair.com.